Hello everyone, this is Jalal Azami and welcome to this grammar lesson. So today's lesson is about conditional. So this year, first year baccalaureate level, you are supposed to study conditional type 0, conditional type 1, and conditional type 2. Next year, you are going to study conditional type 3. So let's focus on the three first types of the conditional. Conditional type 0, 1, and 2. So, first of all, let's revise the form and usage of conditional type 0. Let's start with the first example. If you touch fire, you get burned. So, how many clauses are there in this conditional sentence? Very good. There are two clauses. The first one and the second one. What do we call the first clause? It is the if clause. It is called the if clause because it contains the if. It is the condition. What about the second clause? It is called the main clause. Right, excellent. So let's ask some questions. How many verbs are there in this conditional sentence? Take your time to think. Excellent. There are two. What are they? The verb touch and the verb get. Let's ask another question. In what tense are they conjugated? The verb to touch. Take your time to think. Yeah, it's in the present simple. It is the verb to touch. Then let's look at the second verb in the main clause. It is conjugated in present simple. Excellent. So let's move to talk about rule. Can you guess the rule? Try to guess the rule as I clean the whiteboard. Okay, take your time. Let's speak about rules now. As you notice, we have the if. It starts the if clause. If is followed by a subject. It can be pronoun or a noun. Then you have the verb. The verb is touch. As you notice, it is in the present simple. Then the verb is usually followed by the object. Here, fire is the object. After that, the second part of the conditional here, we start with the subject again. It's you. Here we have the same subject. Then the verb gets. It is again in present simple. Then we finish our sentence with the object. When do we use conditional type 0. If you touch fire, you get burned. Another example, if babies cry, that means they are hungry. So, we use conditional type 0 to talk about situations that are always true. They never change. So, having understood the form and the use of conditional type 0, let's move to the second conditional. It is conditional type 1. So let's start with the form. So we have this example again. Study this example. Take your time. If it rains, we will stay at home. Again, how many clauses are there? Take your time to think. Right, we have 2 clauses. Clause number 1 and clause number 2. Let's ask another question. How many verbs are they? Perfect. We have 2 verbs. Rains and will stay. Okay? So, if it rains, we will stay at home. If you ask me for help, I will help you. If you revise your lessons, you will succeed. These are some examples. Remember, so we have if clause. It is the if, the condition, and the main clause. That's the main clause. Okay? So let's speak about the usage. So we use conditional type 1 to express possible situations in the future. Things that are always possible. For example, we can do them. So we have the possibility to do them. We have a choice. So if it rains, we are free to stay or we can go out. So that's kind of freedom, kind of possibility. So having understood conditional type 1, let's move to the third type of conditional. It is conditional type 2. So let's start again with examples. If I were you, I would regularly revise my lessons. So how many clauses are there? Now I'm sure you've grasped the idea of clauses. Yes, excellent. We have 2 clauses. The if clause and, of course, the main clause. Okay? So, another question. What are the verbs in this conditional sentence? Take your time to think. Okay, the first verb is were. It is verb to be. Then, second verb is would revise. Excellent. Regularly is an adverb. Okay. Let's focus on the tense of these verbs, starting in the if clause. Now here, in the if clause, we have were In what tense is it? Take your time to think. Yeah, it's in the simple past. Okay, then in the main clause, would revise, subjunctive, would plus verb. Excellent. So let's continue. Okay. So let's speak about the rule. We have the if, of course. Then subject, which is I. Here we have pronoun, subject pronoun. The verb is in past simple. It is the verb to be. And if you remember the verb to be, so we say in the simple past, I was. But here we say, I were. That's the idea of conditional type 2. We are going to speak about that in the usage. Then we have you as the object. In the second part, we have I would regularly revise my lessons, the main clause. We have the subject, which is I again. Then would plus verb. Here we have, it is divided by, separated. The verb is separated here by an adverb. All right. Now let's talk about the usage. We use conditional type 2 to express unreal situations in the present. So if I were you, well, it's untrue. Another example, if I had wings, I would fly over the mountains if I had wings, but it's unreal. That's kind of impossible things. So that's why. Here, let's go again to our example. If I were you, no, we say in verb to be in past, it is usually if I was, but here we are breaking the rule just to point out the attention of the listener. If I were you, now to show him that this is an real situation. Now we finished talking about the 3 types of conditional that you are supposed to study this year. Now conditional type 0, something that is always true. Conditional type 1, something that is possible. And conditional type 2, something that is unreal. Now, in conditional type 0, we have 0 change. Present, present. In conditional type 1, we have 1 change. Present, future. Future is, we usually use the verb and the inflection will, auxiliary will, okay? And conditional type 2, we have 2 changes. If clause in simple past, then we use would or could in the main clause plus verb, okay? Now, having understood all these rules, let's go to practice and let's do some exercises. Are you ready? Let's go. So, please, I'd like you to prepare your copybook, your exercise copybook. Open your exercise copybooks, or you can take a paper. You can write exercises. Try to focus with me and try to guess. Where is the verb? Where is the if clause? Where is the main clause? And you will make it at the end. Now, let's start with the first 2 or the first 3 sentences. Study the sentences carefully. Remember, if it's something that is always true, something that is almost scientific, something that is unchangeable, so use conditional type 0. If the situation is possible, there is a possibility, you use conditional type 1. And if the situation is unreal, you use conditional type 2. Okay, take your time. Now, let's read. Number 1. If you heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it's, and the verb, we have to boil. Look, we have if. So, in the if clause, you already have the verb heat. Have a look at sentence number 2. So, in sentence number 2, we are looking for the verb in the if clause, because we have already the verb in the main clause. Okay? If he, the verb to mix, that in infinitive. Black and white colors. If you mix the black and white, now you get gray. Now let's look at exercise number 3. So we have to look for the verb in the if clause, because we have already done, or we have already written the verb in the main clause. Water freezes in the fridge. In the kitchen, you have the appliance. It's the fridge, refrigerator. So the upper side of the refrigerator, or sometimes it's in the lower side. So it's the fridge. It's very cold. Okay? So let's move to exercise number 4. Again, here we have the if clause, and we are going to conjugate the verb in the main clause. It is the verb to succeed, to get your diploma, or to move to the next year, to move to the next level, to succeed. So, if you revise well, your exams. Then, in the 5th sentence, we're looking for the verb in the if clause. If she, the verb to save money, for example. If she, to save is infinitive. You have to conjugate it. So usually you save money in the piggy bank. She will buy. Have a look at the verb. She will buy. So try to think and to find out the answer. In number 6, you will speak. Future. Then we are looking for the verb in the if clause. And for exercise number 7, 8, 9, so look at 7. If you had wings, a bird has wings. So we have the verb in the if clause, and we are going to look for the verb in the main clause. The verb fly, bird fly. 8, if she, again, we are looking for the verb in the if clause. Okay, so, and also we are going to look for the verb in the main clause. So, if she, to know. I am ill. She, the verb to visit. I am sure, I'm very sure, I'm certain that nobody has told her that I'm in the hospital. So, in number 9, we're looking for the verb in the if clause. The verb is to be. And we have would build a school. So, don't forget to use your dictionaries to look up difficult words. So, understanding the meaning of all the sentences can be really useful to answer all the questions. Take your time. And let's go back to the first sentences. Now, what happens if you heat water to 100 degrees? What's your answer? All right. It boils. Okay, it boils, right. So that's something scientific. That's something that is always true. So here we used conditional type 0. Here we have present and present. We have to add the inflection S as you studied the present simple in common core. Okay? We add the S because we have the pronoun it. Now, let's move to the second sentence. We have two colors, black and white. This is black and this is white. What happens if you mix them? So, you get gray color, right? So, we have the main clause. We're looking for the if clause. Look, mix. So, remember, we have the pronoun he, third person singular. So, what do? If we conjugate the verb mix with the third person singular, so of course we add mixes. We add an es. So, usually in present simple, we add an s, but we add es. In some cases, if the verb finishes with SHCHXO. So usually then we have to add ES. Now let's move to number 3. Water freezes. If you put water in the fridge, so the verb puts. So we have the pronoun you, second person singular. So you put, we don't add any inflection. So, very good. I'm sure that you have done it. So, let's move to the next exercises. Okay, so let's do exercise number 4 together. If you revise well, you to succeed. So here we have if clause. We have already the verb. It is in present simple. So what's your answer? You will succeed. Okay. Future. There is a possibility that you will succeed if you revise well. That's conditional type 1. Now, let's move to sentence 5. Look at the pronoun she and look at the main clause, will buy. So, when do we use the future? In the 3 types of conditionals that we have studied so far. Of course, it's in conditional type 1. So, we need to supply the verb in present simple. She. And look if she saves. If she saves some money, she will buy a new laptop. Great. Sentence number 6. You will speak English fluently. So, will speak, future simple. So, we're going to look for, or we're going to conjugate the verb to practice in present simple. Because we have the if clause. So, if you practice. So, let's continue with our exercises so as to do better. Now, number 7. If you had wings. So is that possible? Well, that's kind of weird, right? So that's conditional type 2. It's something that is unreal. So we have the past simple here. So we have to supply the would plus verb. So what's your answer? You would fly. Excellent. Would fly. So if you had wings, you would fly across the sky. All right. That's really weird. So 8. Good. If she knew I'm ill, but she doesn't know that I'm ill, right? She would visit me. But that's unreal. She doesn't know. Now, let's finish our exercise with number 9. You would build a school for rural kids. Here we have would. So we have to supply the verb in past simple. And look, you, pronoun you. So, and the verb to be in past simple with the pronoun you. So in affirmative you use were. So you would build a school for rural kids if you were rich. That's all for now. I hope you've done it. So I wish you a happy day. So see you next time and thank you. Look at the keys here. The key of the answers. Okay. Again. And finally, have you corrected your mistakes? Thank you for your attention. See you next time.